everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Alex and today I'm going to be bringing you my mid-month wrap-up for February. February has been a pretty slow reading month so far and I am totally okay with that. I have been binging The Good Place. I'm in the middle of season 3, so that is where my time has been going, but I have managed to complete 4 books so far in the month of February. I'm going to talk to you about them today. Before we get into the video, if you're new here and you're not already, be sure to go down and hit the subscribe button as well as the bell icon down below so that you never miss out on any of my content. And without further ado, let's get started. The first book that I completed in the month of February was Dark and Deepest Red by Anna Marie McLemore. Now, I did read the majority of this book in January. I tried really hard to fit it in January and was not able to do that, so I wound up finishing it on February 1st. So this story is told in dual timelines, and it is a retelling of the fairy tale of the Red Shoes by Hans Christian Andersen. So part of the book takes place in 1518 in Strasbourg, and there is this dancing plague that is going on. These people are just dancing uncontrollably until they die. They can't stop. Nobody knows what's causing it. And we follow Lala, who is being essentially blamed for this plague. We also get to look into present day, into some people that are still being impacted by these events of the past. Now, I have read one other book from Anna Marie McLemore in the past. I read Wild Beauty by them a few months ago, and I found it to be okay. I really enjoy their writing style. It is very flowery though, so I've always said that it's something that you definitely need to be in the right mindset for. Now with this novel, you can still definitely tell Anna Marie McLemore's signature writing style. I did really enjoy it in this novel. This is kind of a shorter one, so it's a little bit more palatable, and the chapters are really short, which is something that I appreciate. Now overall, I did not feel very attached to any of the characters really in any way, and overall, this one just didn't really stick with me, to be honest. There was nothing inherently good or bad about it. I don't really have any strong feelings either way. I do still think that I'm going to pick up Blanca y Roja by this author because the premise of that one really intrigues me, but I don't think that it's a priority at this point. Anna Marie McLemore's books have kind of been a disappointment to me so far. I think I'm just going in with too high of expectations, but I do still want to give Blanca y Roja a try. I'll end up giving this book a 3.5 out of 5 stars. The second book that I completed in the month of February was Mistborn: The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson. I have also read from Brandon Sanderson in the past, and I have loved everything that I've read from him so far, and this book was no exception. It was phenomenal. Essentially, this book is set in a fantasy world where the magic system revolves around metals, and if you ingest certain metals, then you can get certain powers from them. This is one of those novels that I can definitely see it being made into either a TV show or even a video game. Brandon Sanderson, one of the things that he just does beautifully is write battle scenes. In his fantasy and his sci-fi novels, I've noticed I love his battle scenes every time, and I feel like especially the ones in this novel would go really well in a video game. One of our main characters is just now discovering that she has these abilities and she is learning how to use them throughout the novel, which is how the metals and the different ways that they work are explained, which I thought was really well done. It was really interesting to see what metal does what and how they kind of work together and how you can defeat somebody with a power and how they can go against you. It was just all really well done. This is definitely one that I can completely understand why so many people have read and loved it, and I'm definitely going to be continuing with this series and with the Cosmere in general. So I wound up giving this one a 4.5 out of 5 stars. The next book that I completed in February was The Starlight C by Erin Morgenstern. Now you guys might remember I did pick this one up in January and was not able to complete it because I had it as a hold through my library through the Libby app and it expired before I could get to it, but it did come back around to me in the month of February, so I finished it up. The Starlight C follows our main character Zachary, and he finds this book in his college library that has no label, no author, no anything, and within the collection of stories in this book, he finds a story that is about him in his childhood, this event that happened that there's no way that anybody could have possibly known that this happened to him, and yet he's reading about it in this book. So Zachary essentially goes on an adventure to try to figure out, is this real? Who knows this about me? What about all the other stories in this novel? Who are these people? How does this intertwine? Yada yada, and it is a wild ride from there. Now, I loved The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. I'm due for a reread on that one actually, but one of the things that I remember really enjoying is the writing style, and definitely the same thing in The Starlight C. I love Erin Morgenstern's writing style. It's so whimsical and descriptive, and it brings you into the story, but it's not too flowery that you have to think too hard. It's just really a really nice balance. She definitely also, you can tell that she took the time to craft each individual world in its own right and then bring them all together at the end. The research and the time and the crafting that she must have spent, I can't even imagine. I will say that I actually enjoyed the beginning of the novel a little bit more, and then towards the end of the novel, the plot got a little bit convoluted and lost me a little bit because there were so many elements coming together. We got to see a little sneak peeks of the different elements and the different stories within this novel throughout the book itself, but it did, whenever all the plot started to come together, got a little bit muddled for me. I did definitely enjoy the way that this book ended, and I will forever read anything that Erin Morgenstern puts out. So if you are a fan of hers, or if you like a book that combines fantasy and reality, this is definitely one that I'd recommend. I wound up giving this one a 4 out of 5 stars. And the last book that I've completed so far in the month of February is Children of Virtue and Vengeance by Tomi Adeyemi, which is the sequel to Children of Blood and Bone. Now, I obviously cannot say a single word about the plot of this because it is spoilers galore for Children of Blood and Bone, but if you've read Children of Blood and Bone and know what happens at the end of that novel, this one just picks up where that left off and deals with the repercussions of the ending events of Children of Blood and Bone. One thing that I will definitely give this book props for is that it is a book that is fantasy, and I listened to it on audio, and I actually paid attention, got through it, and enjoyed it. I find the vast majority of the time that I'm not able to listen to fantasy books on audio because I wind up going out and getting lost in my own head, and then when I come back in, I'm completely confused. Now, admittedly, that did happen a few times throughout this novel, but I still was able to keep up with it enough, pay enough attention to get the big events. I will say that it took me about 25% of the way through the audiobook to really get into the story and get back into the world, but I think that is partially my fault because I did not reread the first book before going into this one, and I did read a detailed synopsis of the first one again, but I probably should have paid a little bit more attention to that as well and just made sure that I was more solid on where we were starting. In the first novel, I felt really attached to our main characters, and this one, I didn't feel that as much. There was a lot of inner conflict and arguing that just kind of took me out of it, and I just didn't find that I cared about the characters quite as much. There is also a new romance that comes into this novel that I was not convinced by. I definitely enjoyed the romances more in the first novel. I was more convinced by them than I was by this new one. But overall, I did enjoy my time listening to this novel, and this is, again, one of the fantasy audiobooks that I actually enjoyed, which is just props in and of itself. And the ending left off on a pretty big cliffhanger that definitely has me intrigued to read the third book when it is eventually published. Overall, I wound up giving this one a 3.5 out of 5 stars. So that is it for everything that I have read so far in the month of February, but I want to go ahead and let you guys know some books that I'm currently in the middle of. So first, I am working my way through Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. This is one that I have just been taking like a chapter a day, a chapter every other day to spread it out throughout the month. So I'm almost 200 pages in. We'll definitely be finishing this one by the time the month is over. I am also reading the ebook of Only Mostly Devastated by Sophie Gonzalez. This is an e-arc that I received through NetGalley that is releasing in early March. I am a little bit more than halfway through this one. Again, I'm enjoying it, and I will definitely be finishing it before the month is over. I'm also about 25% of the way through the audiobook of Before the Devil Breaks You by Libba Bray. I'm re-listening to the series as The King of Crows just released on February 5th. I'm now on the holds list for it at my library, so I'm going to finish up the third audiobook before I get into the fourth one. And finally, I have just started the audiobook for The Help by Catherine Stockett. This is one that I have been interested in. I am a huge fan of the movie, as I think a lot of us are, and I really wanted to read this one, and I think February is the perfect time to do it since it's Black History Month, so we're gonna get into this one. So in February, even though my numbers of books have been a little bit lower, my page numbers have been pretty high, because the Starlight C and Mistborn are both really long, 500-600 pages long. The Help is 450 pages long. Before the Devil Breaks You is over 600 pages long, so I think we'll be okay as far as page count goes. So that is it for today's video. If you enjoyed, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and let me know your favorite book so far in February. If you enjoyed today's video, please be sure to go give it a big thumbs up, as well as hitting the subscribe button and the bell icon down below so that you never miss out on any of my content. So until next time, bye!